Welcome to my videos and my blog. In this time, I'm going to talk about the NFL 2024 season, Week 16 prediction, where tomorrow will start the Week 16 with the Thursday Night Football. So, for that reason, I'm going to talk about the games that we will play this week and the prediction about each game that will be played this week. So, let's start with my prediction. So tomorrow we'll start with the Thursday Night Football in a divisional game where the Los Angeles Chargers will receive the Denver Broncos in Inglewood, California, and the SoFi Stadium in 2015 Easter time. The last week, the Chargers. The Chargers lost against the Buccaneers by 22-point difference, where they were humiliated, and the Broncos defeated the Colts by 17-point difference. Yeah, no, by 18-point difference. In this moment, the Chargers, the Broncos have a 9-5 record, and the Chargers have an exit record. In this moment, both teams are qualified to the wild card run. The Broncos are the sixth set, and the Chargers are the seventh set. So the each team needs minimum one victory to qualify to the playoffs. So this is a must game for both teams. Remember that this will be the second game that sorry that these two teams will play in this season, where the first game was in the week 6, where the Chargers defeated the Broncos by 23-16 there in Denver. So I think that this will be a close game, but I think that because the Chargers will play in home, they will win this game. I think that the Chargers will win this game by 1 or 3-point difference, and I think that this game will be defined in the last minutes of the game. So I think that with this victory, the Chargers will take the 6th set in the AFC, and the Broncos will fall to the 7th set. Later, this next Saturday we'll have 2 games. Remember that because the college football regular season ended, for that reason the NFL can play games in Saturday. So the Saturday we'll have the 2 games. The first game will be the Kansas City Chiefs will receive the Houston Texans there in Kansas City, Missouri, and 13 o'clock Eastern time. Remember that the last week the Chiefs the Chiefs traveled to Cleveland, had an easy game, and they won it by 14-point difference. And the Houston Texans defeated the Dolphins by 8-point difference, and they clinch a spot to the playoffs. In this moment, the Chiefs clinch a spot to the playoffs, and they won the AFC West, and they are the number 1 set in the AFC. But the only bad news is that Patrick Mahomes got injured in the last game against the Cleveland, and the most probably he's not going to play this game. So I think that this is an advantage for the Houston Texans, and the Houston Texans are in the 4th set in the AFC South, and they have a 4-game advantage against the Colts, the second place in this division, and they're going to win it. So I think that this will be a closer game because because Patrick Mahomes is not going to play. But I think that even that Patrick Mahomes is not going to play, I think that the Chiefs are better team than the Texans. So I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game by 1 or 3-point difference, and then most probably this game will be defined in the last minutes of play of the game. And the second game in Saturday second game, and in a divisional game, the Baltimore Ravens will receive my favorite team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, there in Baltimore, Maryland, and 16:30 Eastern time. Remember that the last week the Ravens traveled to the Big Apple, and they had an easy game, and they won the game by 21-point difference. And my favorite Steelers traveled to Philadelphia, and they had a very bad game because they couldn't compete against the Eagles. They were dominated and humiliated, and the Steelers lost that game by a 14-point difference. This is a divisional game where in this moment the Steelers are leading the division with a 10-4 record, and even that they lost the last game, they clinched a spot to the playoff because the Colts and the Dolphins lost their game, and the Ravens are in the second place in the AFC North with a 9-5 record. In this moment, both teams are in playoffs position, and both teams are going to play the playoffs. So the only difference is who is gonna to win this division, and he's gonna to enter as a wild card team. So remember that this is the second game that these two teams will play in the season, where in the week 11 the Steelers defeated the Ravens by 2-point difference in a very close game, where the Steelers won this game, where they scored 6 field goals. So I expect the same kind of game, where the game will be dominated by both defenses, the both defense, sorry. And I think that this game each team will score less than 20 points. So remember that the Steelers have won the last 4 games that each team had played, and the Steelers have won the last 8 out of the last 9 games that they have played. So I'm gonna to turn this prediction. I think that the Steelers are gonna to win this game by 1 or 3-point difference. I think that the game is gonna to be defined in the last second, even in the last play of the game, and the Steelers are gonna to win this game, and they're gonna to win the AFC North. And the next in the next Sunday, in the 13 o'clock Eastern time, we'll have 8 games, where in the first game, the Atlanta Falcons will receive the New York Giants. They're in Atlanta, Georgia. The last week, the Falcons traveled to Las Vegas and defeated the Raiders 15-9, and the New York Giants were humiliated, and they lost by 21 point difference against the Ravens. The Giants are eliminated from the playoffs, and the Falcons are in the second place in the NFC South with a 7-7 record. In this moment, the Falcons need to win the last 3 games that they are going to play, and they need that the Buccaners lost 1 game to qualify to the playoffs. So also news that was just today in the morning, it was announced that the Penix Jr. is going to take place as a Falcons starting quarterback. Cousin was benched. This was the right decision, because Kirk Cousins has been playing a very bad football in the last 2 months. So I think that this is a smart decision. So I think that the Falcons are better team than the Giants. So I think that the Falcons are going to win this game by 7 or more point difference. sorry. In another game, in a divisional game, the Chicago Bears will receive the Detroit Lions there in Chicago, Illinois. The last week, the Bears playing in the Monday Night Football, and they were humiliated and lost against the Vikings by 18-point difference. And the Lions lost against the Bills by 6-point difference, where they dominated, and they lost after 10 weeks. After 10 weeks, so they lost against the Bills, where in my opinion the Lions against the Bills will be the next Super Bowl until this moment. So remember that the Bears are eliminated, and the Lions clinch a spot to the playoffs, and in this moment they are the number 1 set in the NFC, but in this moment they are tied with the Eagles and against the Vikings. So the Lions need to win the last 3 games of the season to clinch the first set in the NFC. That this will be very important. So if they lose any game, the most probably is the Eagles and the Vikings are gonna to take this first set. So remember that this is the second game that these two teams will play in the season, where in the first game was playing the Thanksgiving Day, where the Lions defeated the Bears by 3-point difference, where the Lions in that game they play a tremendous first half, but in the second half they play a full game, and the Bears had the opportunity to win this game, but the bad close management of the Bears provoked that they lost this game. Also, this was the game where the Chicago Bears fired his former head coach. So remember that it's a divisional game, and when it's a divisional game, the game are closer than it look like. So I think that this will be a close game, but I think that in the end the Lions are a better team, and they will win this game by 3 or 7-point difference. In another game, the Carolina Panthers will receive the Arizona Cardinals. They're in Carolina, North Carolina. The last week, the Panthers received the Cowboys, and they lost by 16-point difference, and the Arizona Cardinals received the Patriots. They didn't have any problem, and they won this game by 13-point difference. After 3 weeks, they couldn't win. Sorry. In this moment, the Panthers are eliminated, and the Arizona Cardinals are in the third place in the NFC West with a 7-7 record. In this moment, they are 1 game behind the Rams, that are the leading of this division, and they need to win the rest of the games and wait that the the Rams and Seahawks lose two games to win this division and qualify to the playoffs, because it looks difficult, sorry, that they can qualify as a wild card team. So I think that the Cardinals won't have any problem and they will win this game by 7 or 10 point difference. In another game, the New York Jets will receive the Los Angeles Rams there in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. So the last game, the Jets they defeated the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville, and the Rams defeated the 49ers and the Thursday Night Football. In this moment, the Jets are eliminated, and the Rams are leading the NFC West with the AC record, and they have 3 straight victories. So the Rams need to win the last 3 games to qualify to the playoffs. So I think that remember that there is always difficult to go to play to the East Coast in the 13 o'clock Eastern time, where you are a West Coast team. So I think that this will be, for that reason, this will be a very difficult game for the Rams, where I think that even that the Rams are going to win this game by more than 10 point difference. In another game, the Washington Commanders will receive the Philadelphia Eagles there in Washington DC. The last week, the Washington traveled to New Orleans and defeated the Saints by 1 point difference, where the Commanders dominate that game, but they make a lot of mistakes, especially in the fourth quarter, and the Saints almost tied this game and almost won this game, where they played for a 10 point in the last play of the game, but the Commanders avoid that and they won their game. And the Eagles didn't have any problem, and they dominated and humiliated my Pittsburgh Steelers, and they had an easy game. In this moment, the Eagles are leading the NFC East with a 12-2 record, and they have 10 straight victories, and the Commanders are in the second place in the NFC East with a 9-5 record. Remember that the Eagles clinch a spot to the playoffs, so both teams in this moment are in the playoff zone. So the Commanders need to win minimum 1 game to clinch a spot to the playoffs. So I think that remember that this is the second game that each team will play between these two teams, because remember that in the week 11 the Eagles defeated the Commanders by 8 point difference in the Thursday Night Football. So I think that this history won't be different, because in this moment the Eagles are the best team because they have the best straight victory. So I think that the Eagles will win this game by 14 or more point difference. In another divisional game, the Cincinnati Bengals will receive the Cleveland Browns there in Cincinnati, Ohio. Remember that the last week the Bengals didn't have any problem and defeated the Titans by 10 point difference, and the Browns lost by 14 point difference against the Chiefs. In this moment, the Browns are eliminated, and the Bengals had a little opportunity to qualify to the playoffs, but it looks very difficult because they are 2 games behind the Chargers, the last spot in playoffs. So the Bengals are going to be eliminated, but I think that this won't be in this game, because I think that the Bengals are going to win this game by more than 14 point difference. Remember that this is the second game that each team would play in the season, where in the week 7 the Bengals defeated the Browns by 7 point difference. And in another divisional game, the Indianapolis Colts will receive the Tennessee Titans there in Indianapolis. The last week, both teams lost their game respectively. The Colts traveled to Denver and they lost by 17 point difference, where this game was very close, but in the last quarter is when the Broncos won the game, because they outscored 21-0 the Colts, and the Tennessee Titans lost against the Bengals by 10 point difference. In this moment, the Titans are eliminated, and the Titans are eliminated, and the Colts they lost the opportunity to qualify to the playoffs because they lost against the Denver, and in this moment they are 2 games behind the Chargers, the last spot in playoffs. So they need to win the last 3 games, and wait that the Chargers lost minimum 2 games, so it looks very difficult. So also they are 4 games behind the leader of the AFC South, the Texans. So it looks very impossible that the Colts can qualify to the playoffs. Remember that in the week 6 the Colts defeated the Titans by 3 point difference, but I think that even that the Colts are going to win this game by 3 or 7 point difference, they are not going to qualify. And the games that will be played in the second shift in 16:05 and 16:25 Eastern time, in the first game, in a very great game, the Seattle Seahawks will receive the Minnesota Vikings there in Seattle, Washington. The last week, the Seattle They were humiliated by the Packers in the Sunday Night Football, and they lost in a very ugly way, 17 point difference. This was a costly loss because in this moment they are out of the playoff zone, and the Vikings defeated the Bears in the Monday Night Football in an easy game, and they improved to a 12-2 record in this moment because the Seahawks lost against the Packers. They are in this moment out of the playoff zone because they are in the second place in the NFC West with the A6 record. They have the same record as the Rams, but because the Rams defeated the Seattle Seahawks, for that reason they are leading the NFC West. So if the Seahawks want to qualify as a wildcard team, they need to win the last 3 games and wait that Commanders lost 1 game to qualify to the playoffs, or to win the last 3 games and the Rams lose 1 game. So the Seahawks can qualify to the playoff, but it looks complicated. And the Vikings clinch spot to the playoff. They have a 12-2 record. In this moment, they are the second place in the NFC North. They are the 5 set in the NFC, and they have the same record as the Lions and the Eagles. So the Vikings need to win the last 3 games and wait that the Lions and the Eagles lose 1 game to clinch the number 1 set in the NFC. So I think that this will be a tremendous game, but I think that the Vikings are a better team, and the Vikings are going to win this game by 3 or 7 point difference. Sorry, in another game, in a divisional game, the Buffalo Bills will receive the New England Patriots there in Buffalo, New York. The last week, the Bills traveled to Lions in the potential Super Bowl 59, and they had an easy game, and they won it by 48-42. And the Patriots traveled to the south of the country, and they lost against the Cardinals by 14 point difference. In this moment, the Bills clinch a spot to the playoffs, and they won the AFC East division, and the Patriots are eliminated. So I think that the Bills are going to have an easy game, and they will win this game by more than 14 point difference. And in another game, one of the worst game, if not the worst game of the week, the Las Vegas Raiders will receive the Jacksonville Jaguars there in Las Vegas, Nevada. The last week, both teams lost their game respectively. The Raiders play against lost against the Falcons in the Monday Night Football, and the Jacksonville Jaguars lost against the Jets by 7 point difference. I think but this is 2 teams are eliminated, so I think that the Jaguars are going to win this game by 7 or 10 point difference. And in another game, the Miami Dolphins will receive the 49ers, San Francisco 49ers there in Miami, Florida. The last week, both teams lost their game respectively, and it looked like both teams are going to be eliminated. The Dolphins lost against the Texans by 8 point difference, and the 49ers lost against the Rams by 6 point difference. Because both teams lost their game respectively the last week, both teams are eliminated because it looks very difficult that they can qualify. The Dolphins are 2 games behind the last spot in playoffs, and the 49ers are 3 games behind the last spot in playoffs. So it looks like that both teams are going to be eliminated. So I think that the Dolphins are going to win this game by 7 or 10 point difference, and the 49ers are going to be officially eliminated. And in the Sunday Night Football, the Dallas Cowboys will receive the Tampa Bay Buccaneers there in Dallas, Texas, at 2020 Eastern Time. The last week, the Cowboys traveled to North Carolina, defeated the Panthers by 16 point difference, and the Buccaneers traveled to the West Coast, and they dominated and humiliated the Chargers, where they won the game by 23 point difference. In this moment, the Cowboys have a 6-8 record, and they are 3 games behind the last spot in the playoffs in the NFC Commanders, and they are going to be eliminated because it looks very difficult that they can qualify. And the Buccaneers are leading the NFC South with the AC record, and they have 4 straight victories. So the Buccaneers need to win the last 3 games to qualify to the playoffs because they are going to win the NFC. So I think that the Buccaneers are a better team, and they will win this game by more than 10 point difference, and they will make that the Cowboys will be officially eliminated. And the last game of the week, In the Monday Night Football, the Green Bay Packers will receive the New Orleans Saints. They're in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and 2015 Eastern Time. The last week, the Packers traveled to the West Coast in the Sunday Night Football, and they defeated and had an easy game against the Seahawks by 17-point difference. And the Saints received the Commanders, and they lost in the last play of the game, where the Saints had scored a touchdown, and they just needed a field goal to tie the game and force an extra overtime, but they decided to play for a 2-attempt conversion. They missed it, and for that reason they lost the game. In this moment, the Saints are eliminated from the playoffs, and the Packers are in the sixth set in the NFC. So I think that the Packers are going to have an easy game, and they will win this game by more of 14-point difference. So in this video, I talk about the games that will be playing in the NFL 2024 Week 16. Let's see how many games I am right in the end of the week. So I hope you like this video, and if you have any comments or suggestions, you can write me any comment in any of my social media platforms. So see you next video. Chibran.